Good day and welcome to another edition of Christians in Politics, the program that brings you political matters and update. Today we shall be looking at the content of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, which was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari on the 7th of August 2020. However, on the 20th of August 2020, the Christian Association of Nigeria and other religious leaders rejected the act and advised the president to stop the implementation until the necessary amendment is made on it. I am Smart Simon, and with me in the studio is the Venerable Joseph Unuaya, JP, the Director, Civic and Political Affairs, Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion, and he is also the chaplain to the National Assembly. He will be telling us what the Companies Allied Matters Act 2020 contains and why Christian Association of Nigeria is rejecting it. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me again.
Can you please kindly educate us on the content of this act that is causing a lot of brouhaha?
Well, the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2019, which was assented to by Mr. President on the 7th of August 2020, otherwise known as Cama,
Yes.
Act, is one of the subject of debate all over the country today, especially since CAN raised the red flag. And I've read through the bill.
Okay.
Yes, I was able to lay my hand on it. It was over 600 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've gone through it, studied it extensively, and also do some research around it. Then the art really have many sessions.
Okay.
Yes. The parts, rather. It has part A to E, no, to G.
Okay.
And the part that is concerning the church, that is raising dust, is part F.
Okay.
Of the act. And under that part F, you have about 27 sessions.
Okay.
Which is from session 823 to session 850.
Okay.
So now, out of those 27 sessions, there are things that are normal that we are used to. But there are some few elements that have come in.
Yeah.
And that is raising dust. And
so tell us about these elements.
Yes, which poses some danger to the church. Well, before I go into that, we have to underscore the point that in this act, the church falls under the incorporated trustees, where you have the NGOs. In fact, that the incorporated trustees covers all non-profit making organizations. And that is where the church comes in. And it is section 839 that is the main issue.
Okay.
Yes. Which talks about the suspension of trustees of an incorporation and the appointment of interim managers to manage the organization until the issue on ground is settled. And two, the act says that two persons or two, okay, let me put it as persons. It may not be talking about individual here.
Yeah.
Have the right to suspend trustees and appoint interim managers. And the two are the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, and the court. So those are the two persons that have power to suspend. Then what is the issue here? The concern is that it's like the other bill that raised some dust about the compulsory vaccination, the health bill that was dealt with not too long ago. And what people are saying is that there's a clause which says reasonably believes that was used. That if the Registrar General or you say CAC reasonably believe that an offense has been committed. And these are the number of offense analyzed in the act: misconduct, fraud, mismanagement, then going against the purpose of the organization, engaging in what the commission thinks is against public interest.
Okay, so what the commission thinks
is against public interest. And so if the Registrar General reasonably believes that any of these offenses have been committed, they can go ahead and dissolve the trustee. They suspend the trustee and appoint, if you like, call it caretaker committee.
So without necessarily investigating first.
Without investigating.
Once he believes something is not right.
So the question of belief, now reasonably believe, talk about subjectivity and objectivity in law. What is here is that this is subjective. It is for the man or CAC, the Registrar General, to believe.
So
and
once
anything can inform his belief.
Exactly.
Anything can convince him. Whereas a law should be objective. And when they are talking about objectivity in law, what really it means is that what should constitute an offense should be known to all. It is known to law. It is written.
Exactly.
It should not be in doubt. There should be no ambiguity. Exactly. So the question of individual
determining
or determination does not come in when it comes to law. So this is one major issue that we see in this very particular act. That you again, it shows that more or less you can approbate and also reprobate at the same time. You can't give and take at the same time, because every incorporation have the right to sue and be sued as soon as it's incorporated by CAC.
Yes.
Then if that is the case, why don't you sue? If you have already given the corporation the power to sue and to be sued, then if you believe that there's misconduct, then the right thing is to sue, not to just take a decision.
Yes.
So, and that, in this case, you are not suing, but you are taking a decision before hearing from the party. If you are going
there is no fair hearing.
There's no fair
There's no
hearing.
right to fair hearing.
So that is one major reason. Then coming to the issue of fraud, because these are the issues that are strange. When you talk about fraud, fraud is a criminal offense.
Yes.
And if you look at the Evidence Act 2011, what is said there is that for fraud to be proved, it must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. And who can do that? It is only a legally constituted court.
Yes, the competent
court of competent jurisdiction that can prove a matter beyond reasonable doubt. And every party will be given opportunity. But in this case, the commission is to take decision. So how do you prove fraud, which is a criminal offense, beyond reasonable doubt, and to warrant a commission taking this kind of weighty action? That is on that. Then another thing is when you talk of misconduct as defined in that very place, it covers or rather extends to the question of employment for remuneration or reward for persons. In other words, abuse of the employment procedure or abuse of remuneration can be termed by CAC as misconduct in this new act. And to that extent, that means if CAC reasonably believes that you, for instance, now a church is not paying the right salary they're supposed to pay, they can take over the place and fix the salary of workers. So that is why the CAN is saying, no, you cannot come and start controlling the church that way. If this law have to stand, then remove the church from under incorporated trustees so that you can apply whatever you want to apply. But to say that a CAC can just come and start controlling, determining what salary is to be paid, how employment is to be done, how it should not be done, that will mean the church has been taken over. Then the court, in the act also, they say the court may only reverse the suspension. But when you say that, that means the trustees will be fighting from outside because you have already removed them from office. The suspension have already been done. So that is not fair. Then another issue that we have to look at in it is the issue of official custodian that came up in this very new act, that the CAC have the power to transfer the properties of any organization that where they have suspended the incorporated trustees. They can transfer the property of such organization to the person they call official custodian. And in this act, the act went further to say the official custodian must be an individual. But they did not define in the act who that individual should be. What the danger that one portends for the church is this. If CAC reasonably believe that in a particular church, let's say a denomination, that incorporated trustees are not doing well. For instance, we have our own system now. We have the primate, the general secretary, the chancellor of the Church of Nigeria, I think the dean also, as the incorporated trustees. If CAC believe that, oh, there's a problem, or they can remove all these people from office and transfer officially the properties of this church to an official custodian. And since the official custodian is not defined, you cannot say where that official custodian can. It can be maybe one retired minister or former senator or former governor.
So it can be anybody.
It can be anybody. If care is not taken, a Muslim can be appointed as the official custodian of a particular church until further notice. So these are some of the issues. Then on the financial limitation, people have been saying that this thing is targeted on the finances of the church. Many people have been saying how. I've been able to discover where this thing affects the church. There's a section that is section 6E, F, and G, which places limitation on the financial transaction of any incorporated trustee. And that touches the amount that somebody can credit into the account of any corporation in this case. What that one portends for the church is this. If CAC decides tomorrow that you can only transfer 5 million naira at a go into the purse or the coffers of an incorporation, in this case the church, even if I have 20 million to donate to the church tomorrow, I can't do it anymore. So that will limit the rate, the finance that comes into the purse of the church. Now, another thing is that the issue of which is very, very serious, is the issue of what do I call that one now? Dormant account.
Yeah.
The issue of dormant account. In this act, is saying that the bank is mandated to report to the CAC any dormant account of an incorporated trustee. What that one means is this. In this very act, they try to define what constitutes a dormant account. Ordinarily, once there is entry and money is going out or money is coming in, the account is not dormant. But this act is specifically saying that to say an account is dormant means that if account there's inflow but there's no outflow. In other words, churches by this act, if it stands, will not be able to maintain savings account. Churches will not be able to maintain special projects account. Because if money is coming in, like we have on Sunday, you go and pay in money. Next Sunday, you go and pay in money. You just keep paying money and the amount is growing, and you are not withdrawing from that particular account and spending. The bank will term it as a dormant account and report to CAC, and they will give you 15 days to come and declare to them what are your transactions. And if you are not able to satisfy them within 15 days, they dissolve that very organization. So these are some of the issues that are very serious. And if you look at some of it, like the issue of removal or suspension of, but you discover that that is a dangerous law. It's repressive, it's undemocratic, where somebody can just wake up overnight and dissolve or remove people from office. And who are the people that can ask for this? Either the CAC, which is the commission itself, or maybe one of the corporated trustees or two decide to write, or maybe 2/3 members of the association or organization. That last one is okay. But we see a situation whereby one person can be aggrieved or two persons can be aggrieved. And if you have access to the commission and you can convince them, the whole organization, you can just throw the whole organization into a problem. So these are some of the issues that are making people to say there is need to look into this law, because if it stands as it is, it's going to affect the church drastically.
Yeah, thank you so much. I believe that you can go on and on and on to point out so many other things in this. So with all that you have said, apart from educating us on the content of the act, you have as well tell us reasonably why CAN is specifically rejecting and crying out at this point in time. Now, what can you say about the clause that talks about the commission appointing interim management committee to manage the organization?
Now
you've talked about it before.
Yes. What that means is that if there's an allegation and the commission have looked at the allegation or petition and they reasonably believe that what is contained there is substantial, they have the right, without going to court, they have the right to just suspend the trustees of that very organization and appoint an interim management body that will take care of that very organization. And we are saying that that is not fair. It is only the courts that have the power, the right to adjudicate in such matters. Yes, not the commission. The role and the duty of the commission is to incorporate that very body. After that, you leave the court to adjudicate in matter. If this is not reviewed, what it means is that the CAC is taking away the power of the court or stepping into the jurisdiction of the court.
Yes.
So if what the court is statutorily meant to do, the CAC can now also do it, then it means there's already an overlap. And that cannot stand. That cannot stand. And if CAC have to judge in a matter and take a decision before even hearing from the people, that is dangerous, because the truth is that in law, the principle of fair hearing, as you see it in section 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the only absolute right in law, the principle of fair hearing.
Yes.
That even if people have seen you, that you pull a gun and shot somebody and is dead, you will still be given opportunity to say why you did what you did, whether you were the one who did it or it was your shadow that was doing it. So that is the only absolute right that is given, that in any matter, somebody should be given opportunity for fair hearing. In this case, the principle of fair hearing is just swept under the carpet.
Like the lawyers will say, even God gave Adam fair hearing.
Yes.
Adam, where are you?
Where are you?
Have you done what I asked you not to do?
At least. And Adam told him what happened. That it was the wife. The wife told God what happened, that it was the serpent. So there should be principle of fair use. That is why they say the law is draconian, the law seems to be repressive, the law is undemocratic, and somebody can wake up and tell the CAC Registrar General, please clamp down on that particular organization.
And it will be done.
If CSO,
right,
if the person, the leader of that CSO is outspoken, they can just pounce on him, remove him from office, because the Registrar General and the CAC reasonably believe there's good ground, or what the person is doing is against public interest. And the public interest is not even defined there.
So it has to be defined.
What constitutes affront against public interest by an NGO or a corporated trustee? All these things were not defined.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Now, does it mean that the constitution of these religious bodies and NGOs is set aside? Because I know in the Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion, they have their own constitution. Every diocese is having. At the Church of Nigeria level, there is a constitution on how to handle the affairs.
Yes.
So if you have given that power to Registrar General on however he wished to settle the matter, that means the constitution of the church or those organizations is no longer necessary. It should be kept aside.
That is another big issue in this matter, that somebody you don't have the power to appoint, you should not be given the power to remove it.
Exactly.
The power of the CAC is to register an organization, period.
Yeah.
It is the organization that determines the leadership of that very organization. And the mechanism to choose leadership is already there in their own constitution.
Exactly.
Which, of course, at the point of incorporation, the CAC requests for the constitution of that very organization. The constitution defines how the organization want to live, how they want to run the association, the organization, their objectives, and everything. And when people are not doing what they're supposed to do, the constitution of that very organization defines how such people should be removed from office. So the question now is, how come somebody, the CAC, for instance, in the church, you don't have power over how a bishop should be selected and be consecrated.
Yes.
You don't have power over how a priest should be made.
Yes.
Then why should you now all of a sudden have power to remove a bishop or a priest from office and appoint a caretaker? So these are some of the things. So it's only the court. If any person feels there's an abuse of maybe a procedure or the way the organization
should go to
they
court.
should go to court and seek redress in court. The CAC cannot do the work of the court.
Because now the one of the danger I'm also saying is that, suppose if the primate is the chairman of the board of trustees of the Church of Nigeria,
yes,
and then the Registrar General feels that something is wrong and decided to change the board of trustees.
Yes.
If the primate is no longer the board of trustees of the church,
yes,
is that not an indication that he has been removed from that position?
That is what we ask. Once you suspend him, you have removed him from that very office. And you have not even heard from him. You have not given him opportunity to defend himself. So it means one priest can just write a petition. If he's related or is an in-law to the Registrar General, he can just write a petition to him, and the primate of the church and all the trustees are suspended.
Yes.
And somebody, whether is a believer, is not a believer, whether it's an Anglican, is not an Anglican, can be appointed as the. That is what it means for us. And that is how it means to all other organizations, all other church organizations. So there's no way this thing can stand. The church, what the church is saying, what Khan is saying is that this law should be taken back. It's unfortunate that it has been signed already, but it should be taken back. This section, it more or less presents all the things that were rejected in the NGO a control bill
Yeah.
that came up some time ago and everyone kicked against it. It's like that is what has been smuggled through the back door to
into this.
now to this Cama Act.
All right, thank you so much. Viewers, we will go on a short break, and when we return, there is still many more to discuss.
Beaming from the nation's capital, we bring to you the good news through various programming, news updates, worship, and teachings.
The paralysis of sin makes us to be separated from God.
Contact us for your live streaming solutions and event coverage, such as synods, conferences, seminars, revivals, and lots more. Engage us in showcasing your brands and services to the world through adverts and sponsorship. We also offer latest broadcast equipment for rent, all at affordable prices. For inquiries, please call 070-3265-6544 or mail us via inquiries at ACNNTV.com. ACNN, reaching the world with the undiluted Word of God.
Viewers, you're welcome back, and we want to continue our discussion on the Rejection of Companies and Allied Matters Act, otherwise known as Cama 2020. Now we have been able to look at some other issues that make the can to reject this act. Now, with the report of Christian Association of Nigeria from the public hearing, and that was held during the first tenure of the president, and the conclusion of the National Assembly and government on this matter, do you think we are practicing democracy? Or was it that there was no public hearing? How comes that this thing has been signed already into law without giving cognizance to other religious bodies?
First of all, I cannot say whether there was public hearing on this Cama or not, because I was not aware of any.
Okay.
And I'm still trying to ask question, when was the public hearing done? No one have been able to speak to me on that. The fact that when they brought that NGO control bill, people made presentation and it was dropped, and now it has come through another angle to come and resurface again, shows the insensitivity on the part of our leaders. You see, leadership is about the people.
Exactly.
Democracy is about the wish and the aspiration of the people. The leader is there to take the people to where they want to be. But we have noticed this trend over the years that leadership in Nigeria is about self, not about people. So otherwise, I don't see why they should be pushing on this, except for the fact that, like people are saying, maybe this agenda is being targeted primarily against the church, primarily against the critics of government among the church leaders, so that they can silence them, so that they can clamp down on them if they feel that the person is not, speaking too much against their own position. I cannot say we are practicing democracy here if the wish of the people will not reflect in laws that are signed. Because the law is meant to govern the people. And if their wish is not properly reflected, if their concerns are not properly taken care of, and a law is passed and is signed, and it becomes an act, that means what we are doing is short of what is expected of a democratic government. And even as at now, I expect that government should listen to the people. Because I know I started by talking about insensitivity on the part of those in the corridor of power. Religion, whether we like it or not, has turned out to be a very volatile issue in Nigeria. And anything that borders on the sensitivity or something that affects a particular religion, and they can see it clearly that this will affect a particular religion, government should be very, very careful. So you should not give room for people to be making hate speech. I've had some people, you can see it in the media, people saying that, this Islamic government, this is what they are pushing, they are targeting the church. Before you know it, that can be interpreted as hate speech. But why do you give room for people to push people to be making these kind of speeches? Because when you do what is reasonably not right, it will certainly push people to talk, because they are human beings. So government must be very, very sensitive to this. And I trust that, Mr. President, we have a second thought over this. And like Khan has demanded, take this bill back to the National Assembly. Let them amend this, because it has already been signed. So there's need for him to take it back to the National Assembly and honestly demand that this session be reviewed, so that people cannot what people are alluding to, there is a deliberate way to target the church and attack the church. It should not be allowed to stand.
All right. So do you think this act is pushing the nation into a dangerous trend?
Yes, of course. Now, if you leave the act as it is, and tomorrow you go and clamp down on the church, what they don't know is that most of these church organizations, they have followership, strong followership. The millions of people you see following a particular GO, they believe in him. They trust him. People are concerned about money. What they don't know about this, you don't give your money to who you don't believe in.
Exactly.
Somebody you can pay your tithe to. Somebody you can close down your account and go and lodge the money. It means you believe in what the person is doing. You believe that it's a representative of God. And if such a person also give a command, the people will listen. And there are some of these general overseers that are controlling crowds running into millions. So this is a time bomb that may explode one day. Can you imagine somebody going to pick up a person like Oyedipo, or say all of a sudden wake overnight, the Registrar General say, I suspend Oyedipo and all the trustees of what's it called, Winners Chapel?
Yes.
Can you imagine somebody saying is suspending Adeboye, Pastor Adeboye, and all the trustees of the Redeemed Church? Can you imagine somebody say today, wake up a CAC Registrar General saying because he reasonably believes that Christ Embassy is not doing well, and he just suspend Pastor Yakelome and remove him from office and appoint a caretaker committee? I mean, that can spell doom for our country. So anything that can give room for such explosion, we need to handle it with care. And I think that is where Mr. President, we have to appeal to Mr. President to have a look into this. Well, to me, Mr. President may not have the full gist of the, because I told you it's a very voluminous document.
Exactly.
There may be people with hidden agenda, and the agenda may not be known fully to Mr. President. His own is, let's sign it to law what has been brought to him, and if it is for the good of all, and of course he's going to ask his PA and all that, what's your opinion about the content? And once they say it's okay, his own duty is to sign. So now that people are crying out, saying there is a session in this very bill that is inimical to the church, then I know Mr. President will want to have a second thought about it and look into it.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Now, the freedom of association as guaranteed by the Constitution is sacred and should not be tampered with in a nation like Nigeria. Do you think some of these clauses in some of the sections and subsections, is it not tampering with the freedom of association?
Yes, that is what many people are saying, that some of the things we are seeing here is tending towards gagging the NGOs. NGOs normally in a democratic setting is a pressure group. The church to some extent is more or less a pressure group because the church
doing so much.
Yeah, the church insists on
filling the
morality,
gap that the
filling
government
the
is
gap.
not filling.
Yes, trying to make sure that the right thing is done.
Mhm.
And if you now begin to put all these kind of clauses, things that will make leaders of these organizations, of these NGOs, to be afraid, they cannot talk, they cannot speak again, they cannot protest, they cannot register what they feel with government. So that is tending towards gagging of the NGOs, and that is not healthy for democracy. So that is why the government in power must have a rethink.
All right, thank you so much. Now, where do you see this country heading? Suppose Mr. President does not refer this act back to the National Assembly for amendment as requested by the Christian Association of Nigeria.
There will be a big problem one day. There will be a big problem. It's like I said earlier. Do you know the followership that the primate of the Church of Nigeria commands? Here is somebody that can give an order, and close to 70 bishops will comply. And you know that if a bishop gives an order, every clergyman in his diocese, down to evangelists, lay readers, are bound to obey.
Yes.
Can you imagine a situation whereby tomorrow such a man, for under any guise, is suddenly suspended by the Registrar General of CAC without following the due process, and he simply gives an order to say, do this or do that? There will be chaos in the country. No one prays for such a thing to happen. Can you imagine the number of people? There's no single, hardly any street in Nigeria that you don't find a redeemed church. Can you imagine if you suddenly clamp down such an individual tomorrow and issue an order to the church members to begin to riot, to begin to fight for their own right? So once you only know how it starts, like they say in my area, the Christmas said, the fire will ignite here. That is the one you know, but the one that is consuming everywhere and burning everywhere in the city, he does not understand that very well. So you don't ignite fire when you know there are keg of gunpowder all around. Once you ignite the fire and explosion has started, the thing will continue to go. So when it comes to matters like this, we need to be very careful. I see the country heading towards anarchy, towards danger, where an individual can just sit down and say he reasonably believes that he should do this, and he just go ahead and do it. Where two persons can just get up and write to somebody and convince him at the back. And in this country that corruption is still a major problem. In other words, I can, because I want to throw my organization into confusion, I can write a petition and take it to the CAC and just tip 1, 2, 3 persons, and they will reasonably believe. And they take decision. And through the country, it took chaos.
Exactly.
We shouldn't give room for such. We should. I think the best thing to do is for Mr. President to honorably take this act back to the National Assembly and say, for so and so reason, have a look at this session and re-amend it. And more so, and we are running democracy.
Mm-hmm.
We should not be seen to be signing into law things that are anti-democratic in nature.
Exactly.
And in fact, any law to the extent of its inconsistency with the ground norm, which is the constitution of the land, is rendered null and void. Any law that is signed that contradicts or that infringes on the fundamental human right as guaranteed in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot stand the test of time. So, to that extent, the best thing to do is to take this act back to the drawing board, which of course the National Assembly, let them amend it. It poses danger for us as a people.
Thank you so much. Now, what is your advice to the government? I know you have been saying a lot of
it's
things
just
already,
to reiterate
but by means of your final words,
it's just
your advice to the government and the church.
It's just, okay, and the church. The truth is that, let me start from the church.
Okay.
The church is the bulwark of truth. The church should insist on the right thing to be done. The church should not be afraid to speak the truth and demand for what is right. And to that extent, I personally commend CAN for coming out, and I commend them for not being violent. They have registered their protest peacefully, and that is what is expected. And they should stand on that ground and continue to speak to government and those in the corridor of power to do something. On the part of government, I think they should listen to the people and do the needful. I know I joined the CAN to appeal to Mr. President. I know he means well for the country, so let him again further demonstrate it on this very particular instance. Let him send this act back to the National Assembly. It will underscore so many points.
Exactly.
Yes, it will show that actually he's a statesman. It will show that he means well for the people. It will show that he's actually a democratic president. And APC, as a government in power, should insist that this act should be looked into again. Because the members of the party are also affected. When we're saying the church, we have members of the church who are members of APC.
Exactly.
We have members of the church who are in government. So this act affects everyone. So they should insist, they should speak with Mr. President. They should join in the appeal to say this thing should be looked into again. And I think it is possible to, because the act, even though it has been signed, is not cast on stone.
Okay. All right. We have to thank you. We are grateful to you, the Venerable Joseph Unoya JP, the Director of Civic and Political Affairs of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, and Chaplain to the National Assembly. Thank you so much. We believe
Thank you.
As you continue to chaplain them, you'll continue to ring this into their ear.
Yeah, we'll continue to talk.
Continue to blow the trumpet so that we'll be sure that they do what is right. Don't sign into law what is anti-democratic in nature. This is where we draw the curtain. Remember, failure to participate in politics, you will be governed by wrong people or even idiots. Please join us same time, same station next week. I am Smart Simon.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and viewers, and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNNTV.